Hello, hello. Welcome back. On this Tuesday, June 10th, we are in week 5, day 20 of this Diddy trial, child, and we are going to hear more horrible, terrible things about this man and some of the choices that people, make in life that have them ending up in a high profile trial like this. So let me know if you can hear me okay. I've been having issues with my sound. And if you've been here before, you know the drill. If you're in the replay, skip ahead about 6.5 minutes. If you're in the chat and or in the bushes, please be patient. I gotta let YouTube do what it do. In the meantime, I'm gonna be messing around with this sound, and I will be right motherfucking back. Sound check, sound check. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Give me a 1 in the chat, and I'm going to give it a second. Let me know if you can hear me. A, B, C, and D. Let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Thank you, Karen. I just got a message. I had no sound. What's happening? Peace, world peace. Yeah, welcome or welcome back to Goddess Dawn Speaks, a.k.a. the $1 trillion goddess, a.k.a. the queen of info. Shout out to Hot Rod, who gave me that name back in the day. Back in the YouTube day, child. Listen, I want to say hi and thank you to my chat, my warriors, my chosen ones. Thank you for being here. Faye, UK, Faye in the building. Black Letter Law is in the house. Hey now, Nia X, what's going on? Antonia Maria, flowers to you as well. Yes. No. What? Yes. I know her. Nia's crazy. Good to see you, love. Juti, what's going on? Thank you and thank you and thank you for giving me the view, even though you can't be here. You letting it play, even though you not listening? What? That's love right there. So PJ Corleone on that second verse that I was playing when I got interrupted and said there was no sound. Did y'all hear the song that was on? I Need Everything. Let me call Wild Wayne real quick. He blowing up my phone. Let me see what he's talking about. He's the one that called me and said there was no sound. Okay, well, everybody said I had sound. They had sound the whole time. So maybe you. And you are on the live. You want to say something? Let me put you on speaker.
I just woke up.
You just woke up. Oh, okay. Well, you're not going to say hi? You said no? You good?
Hi, everyone. What's up? What's up? What's up?
Wow, Wayne in the building. All right, listen, I'm glad you got sound, and I don't see no problems on my end, and everybody said they good. All right, cool. Bye. That's how I do them. Bye. Later. Okay, listen. We are going to get into this testimony. Jane is a lot. Okay. Jane has been through a lot. Jane has done a lot for Diddy. But child, day 20 of this trial and testimony and whatnot. And Jane is heavy, but it's a different type of heavy. It's something different about her testimony, even though it is just as disgusting as we imagine or could imagine listening to Cassie's. Very similar stuff. It is like a sadder, I don't know, it's not sadder. I'm not comparing the two or conflating. I'm just saying it's something different. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But let's see. Before we get right into the testimony, let's see what these people are looking like today. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Let me take this picture down. We got the boys and the grandma there, or the mother. Grandmother, mother. Let's see. Let me see what she's talking about.
All right, guys, we are downtown by the courthouses, where behind me you have the trial of Harvey Weinstein, and then in front of me you have the trials of P. Diddy. Now, these are two men that were very high profile in the entertainment industry, and they're both on trial. Why am I down here? Because I'm suing somebody my darn self, trying to get my money back from this chick that tried to steal some teeth from me. She got her teeth and then she didn't pay. So we are down here trying to get justice for Dr. Cheese Sauces. So stay tuned. Why am I down here at the court area? Because bitch better have my money. And I got money. That is one of my favorite songs. Oh, this is going to be good. You think this is it? Okay. All right. This is the prosecution, guys. This is fun. I cannot wait. Go prosecution. All right. This is the prosecution team for Diddy. They're doing an amazing job. Keep doing great. You guys are killing it. Woo, prosecution. Oh, this is so good. Here comes the Sprinter guys with the family. They are coming back from lunch.
Not the prosecution having a go team on the side, child. What is happening here?
This is going to be good. All right, this is it, y'all. Oh, I'm so glad I had a break. All right. We are behind the scenes. Boy, I love my life. I give you guys the exclusive. We are down here at the courthouse. The family of
guys, Diddy back from trial. His family, Diddy back from trial, guys.
All right, here we go, guys. Here we go. There she is. Justin King Combs, Justin Combs, Mama Combs.
Mama Combs is wearing a sweatsuit. And is that Christian holding her hand? No, I don't think that's him. He look a little, people's looking dusty today. Sorry.
Only the sons, no Quincy.
She said only the sons, no Quincy today. That's interesting. Let me see what y'all talking about. I caught that. No, I said, oh, she's a dentist, huh? She stole that lady's teeth. She put them teeth in that lady's mouth and she just went off and didn't pay. I know I see people doing that with hair, but with teeth, it's times is getting desperate. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start with the Washington Post because they're going to give us the little bit of ambiance before the testimony begins and what's going on in the actual courthouse. Okay, so we have Wesley Parnell, the reporter here, telling us good morning from federal court on a rainy Tuesday. Sean Combs' defense team will begin its cross-examination of Jane, a former Combs girlfriend who is testifying under an alias. Jane has been one of the most compelling witnesses for the government. She was in a relationship with Combs from 2021 until last year. It sounds like she's still in a relationship. This is me interjecting. Based on the fact that he's still paying her rent and he's still paying for her lawyer. Hello. Also, it says, and prosecutors did not secure her compliance until after the hip hop producer's arrest. Jane has testified that she was financially coerced to have sex with escorts in marathon freak-offs for Combs. We will see how the defense paints her in light of her powerful testimony. They say the pace outside of the courtroom is slower today. Could be the rain or that members of the general public who have been showing up daily at the trial now understand the routine. The U.S. Marshals who protect the building know many faces by memory at this point. Spectators are put on a list, then ferried up to the top floor of the federal courthouse in groups of 7 after going through airport style security. If you are not on the list, you cannot enter the courtroom. We are roughly halfway through. So they start getting into what happens during the actual proceeding. So let's hop right over to it. Thank you as always to reporter Matthew Russell Lee from Inner City Press, doing the damn thing for the damn people. Thank you, No. Blessings to you as well. I'll see y'all in the replay. Juti, No. Drop your comments so I know you there. I appreciate that love so much. Okay, let me throw up today's picture of Jane on the stand. Diddy right there, just right in her face. Man, and look at him side-eyeing over to the side. I'm not sure if the jury are right there or if the reporters and the media spectators are there, but he's always looking around to the back, to the side. Okay. Oh, G. Washington says she's not as savvy as Cassie. Maybe that could be what I'm thinking as well, but something's different. All right. Matthew starts off saying, okay, now U.S. versus Sean Combs, day 20 with Jane Cross to begin. He said there will be more days, anonymity, Inner City Press is covering the trial. So he's saying that this cross-examination is not the only day. I hope she got her rest, drank plenty of water, had a little meal, and is ready to go. Drinking water myself. Thank you. So before the jury comes in, the judge says, I'm ruling that the government cannot recall Dr. Hughes for more testimony despite the Second Circuit's decision in U.S. versus Larry Ray. All right, so the judge has given the motion to the defense in not wanting Dr. Hughes to testify any further. Sounds like they want to bring her up to reassure the jury or corroborate the things that she said versus what this testimony is, because from Banna to now Jane, I'm hearing a lot of side chatter about people not believing people and also not feeling that, they're actual victims, And Jane specifically, and especially to me, gives a lot of credence to that based on the things that she said, really. There's a big contradiction here, but that is where Dr. Hughes comes in, and that's where Dr. Hughes is so important. The forensic psychiatrist who, is very well versed and certifiably so in the I won't say the art of psychology when it comes to this, but there is a psychology when it comes to this. You can't take the psychology piece out of this case. Okay. So the judge says on rule that Jane's notes reflecting alleged fraud to induce her into the hotel nights are admissible despite the defense's argument. So on that note, the defense does not win. They wanted to, I think, strike some of the things from her testimony, which were those notes where she was saying she was going to be texting him about how she felt. State of mind is what the government said. Combs' attorney, Alexander Shapiro, says Ms. Bongolan said clearly the balcony incident took place on September 26th. We believe she perjured herself and that they knew. The government elicited that all injured were at the same time. All injuries were at the same time. So with that regard, Bongolan kept saying she didn't, her memory was fuzzy. She got stuff confused. So I don't think you can just erase that when considering that she could have gotten the dates wrong. I'm just saying. So the judge says, couldn't we just say the government screwed up giving Miss Westmoreland a rare Perry Mason moment in federal court? That defense back in its war zone could say, great job. So so the judge is like, let's just give her a pat on the back, Miss Westmoreland, for that cross-examination of Bongolan, pulling that information out, giving the jury something to chew on. and leave it at that and get your, great job when you guys go back to discuss everything. Shapiro says, this is only our second motion for a mistrial only, she's saying, and that's telling us that there's going to be more. I'm not sure why the government says it's the third. The government says perjury is not one prong of a four-part test. Perjury is only one prong of a four-part test, she's saying. You don't have enough to call this perjury. The judge says this happened years ago. Miss Bongolan has taken a lot of drugs. See, thank God she's sober, the judge says. The judge is even acknowledging that Brianna has told us about all the drugs. I mean, these people were high all the time. And these are young minds, young people. So there's a big impact on the mind when it comes to sobriety. The judge said, thank God she's sober. The government says Mr. Steele also moved for a mistrial. And the judge said, well, he said he was going to move. Shapiro interrupts. We object to juror 6 being stricken. It's under seal, but. And then the judge said, everyone will be heard. Okay, so the inner city press, the reporter is also interjecting notes saying, where is this in the docket? But they said it's under seal, so it's not going to be available to the public, even though things under seal still are visible. It just says under seal. You just can't access the actual content. You do see the filings, though. So the judge says to bring in Jane and then the jury. All rise. Ms. Garagos, you may proceed with cross-examination. Garagos says, Jane, we met before. Then you stopped meeting with the defense. Well, that was your choice, right? She said, correct. Okay, so they're letting us know that Jane was over here with us. So that's something they're going to build on. Garagos says, you're testifying against Mr. Combs. Jane says, I'm testifying against him? Garagos says, how many times did they prep you on how to be cross-examined at this trial? She says, maybe 2 or 3 times. Did you bring in other prosecutors to cross you? Yes. And they granted you immunity at the grand jury, right? Yes. You said you had regret about some of the choices you made with Mr. Combs. If you have it, I'd love to look at it with you. She's saying this to Garagos. Your choice to participate in that lifestyle for many years, and you did not want to break up with him, right? She said, I did not want to. Garagos says, you had sex with other men for years. She says, I resent the emotional control. I was hooked from the start. Hooked from the start. Jane says there was pressure to perform these acts lover desired. My lover desired, she says. Garagos asks, you use the word partner again and again on direct. He was your partner? She says, yes. You said you're having trouble answering for yourself. Why you had sex with these men? She says, yes. You're in therapy now? Yes. You love Mr. Combs? I love spend time with my partner. You wanted to cuddle with him? To give him foot rubs. You said, objection to counsel making herself a witness. That's coming from Comey. Jane said, I love to bathe him and watch his favorite show. Garagos asked, which show was that? She says, Dateline. Not sure why, this is me interjecting. Why do they care what show he's watching? Or are they just trying to paint a picture? But anyway, who thought that Diddy's favorite show would be Deadline? Because not me. Garagos says, did you believe he was not doing this with anyone else? She says, during this time period, you'd look at his messages? She said, yes. He was vulnerable in those hotel rooms, and I shared that with him. It was conflicting. I was breaking all my boundaries so that he would feel loved. This brought you two together? Yes, the lovemaking afterwards. That's why I enjoyed it. You tried to be very sexy to him in those rooms. She said, well, that was a question. She says, I think I was sexy in those rooms. Because you are a beautiful woman, did you choose the wardrobe? She said, initially he did. Jericho says he liked baby oil. It turned him on. She says, yes. How old were you when you started your relationship with Mr. Combs? She says, wow. I thought she was 35. So she's what, 40? She said she's been dealing with this for she's been doing the hotel nights. She said for 3 years. So she's at least 38, 39. What are examples of your fantasy talk in those rooms? He would have me and the entertainer be in a role play, cheating role play that Sean left town. How high were your heels? 6 to 7 inches. Usually I wear 3 to 4 inch heels. You wanted your child to be closer to your child's father, but did the father see the child? Where did this come from? She says, what does that have to do with this? That's what I'm saying. Gergo says, who you fly weekly to Miami to see Mr. Combs? Who you fly weekly to Miami to see Mr. Combs? Maybe it's would you? Would you fly weekly to Miami to see Mr. Combs? Sometimes, she said. We listened to 5 voice notes in which Mr. Combs sounded angry, but he'd sent you thousands, right? She said, yes. Why did you feel he was larger than life? She said, bright light. He introduced me to the gospel. He had a favorite pastor he'd watch on TV. Oh, Lord, if they bring in T.D. Jakes, I'm done. And I'm just saying, that's as an expression. I'm just saying, though. Garagos asked, has that stayed with you? She said, yes. Do you watch that pastor today? Objection. It's sustained. Garagos asked, how much did he invest in your dress line? She said $20,000. Why did you join OnlyFans? If I could get off it, I would. Financial need. Mr. Combs gave you money throughout the relationship. In 3.5 years, does $150,000 sound right? She said, I would assume. Garagos says, you told the government you gravitate toward providers. She said, yes, as a woman, I like that. You called the house our house. She said, later, I saw it as my house. You thought it was important that his staff not know about the entertainers, right? Objection, and the judge overrules. She says, right. And that's a reason you go to the house and a yard for your son, I guess. She says, can you say my child? She's still trying to be discreet, honey. We know who you are. But I get that. She says, say my child. Okay, so what? Why does it say inner city press break for now? Did they not come back? Hold on, y'all. Yeah, the defense, somebody said the defense was trying to dox her. Wow, I don't know if they came back. Hold on, let me see something. Break for now. Okay. I don't know, y'all. We have the rest of this filing on Patreon here. Wait, what is this now? Diddy docket on delay. In U.S. Combs trial, U.S. wanted in D-Rock text about icing, Cassie's eye. Cassie, Well, dang, I don't think I have the rest of the testimony. Give me 1 second. I have a workaround. What is this? Okay, so I'm reading this note in here. It says, this is from, so some attorney is posting underneath this trial transcript. Diddy's rent payments for Jane. Tenny Garrigo suggested that Diddy was willing to pay 3 additional months of Jane's rent during their breakup discussions. When asked if she believed Diddy would stop paying, Jane replied, there would be some times that I definitely felt he would do that. And he used it kind of as a little tool. The rent was always just like a little reminder. And then they commented, I don't know why Garrigos asked the question the way she did. Now she got an answer that wasn't good about Diddy using rent as a tool. As a leading question on cross, most questions that require yes or no answers. Okay, so I'm going to have to go over to summaries from that post. Hold on. The 20th. All right, y'all. Well, damn. Okay, thanks for your patience. I was just looking around to see if I could find another live tweeter, but I'm going to just go by the post today. Black Letter Law says the public knows her age and that she has a son because of the defense. Exactly. You emailed me earlier. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to also play that audio and stuff too after. Faye says she feels bad for her. They're saying Inner City Press Corps got kicked out. Seriously? Oh, they kicked him out. I thought he had permission to do that. No way. Okay, well, because I know they have to give up their phones. Dang, that's messed up. He better come back and say something about it, though. Let us know. Okay, so I'm just going to go back on some of these things real quick. The defense, so we're going to go back. Okay, so they've lost the mistrial. We know that. They talked about bungling on cross-exam with regard to the mistrial. There's an issue with the juror that's being discussed. Not clear what is amiss, but Sean Combs' legal team is arguing to keep the juror in the trial while the prosecutors want more time to investigate the juror. Yesterday, as the trial was getting underway, Judge Arun Subramanian called the lead attorneys into his robing room. I remember that. That was like first thing, for a sealed conversation that had something to do with this juror. The parties discussed privately for some time before returning to the courtroom and huddling with their teams. The floor was buzzing with conversation and Combs seemed engrossed. So there is a particular juror. Now they're talking about juror number 6, I believe. There is a particular juror that some of these people on the ground reporting this trial have said that this person makes faces. She like whispers things to the other jurors, passes notes, things like that. And that's not supposed to be happening. And on top of that, she's being very, I think, obvious with her facial expressions and things that she's rooting for Diddy. That's pretty much the consensus. So I'm wondering if this is that particular juror. The prosecution has gotten wind of this and wants her out of there. And it says a lot that the defense does not want to lose the juror. They want him or her to actually stay while it's being hashed out. Now, they do have alternates who are attending the trial as if they are a juror. So it wouldn't be nothing for them to replace this juror with an alternate and keep moving like nothing ever happened. And I think they should. Any question about a juror should be taken very seriously. All right. So they talked about her being back on the stand. We went through some of that. They said that, this is kind of where we left off, sort of, about him loving the show Dateline. And they said when that came out in her testimony that Diddy actually nodded his head slightly in agreement. Yeah, and they were talking about as well when she was saying, that Sean was her baby because she liked giving him baths and rubbing his feet. They were talking about how Diddy's mom was watching on. So I don't know if they were basically trying to say that's his mom is actually sitting in the gallery right now. But it says Jane's demeanor on the witness stand so far is vastly different from a previous pseudonymous witness, Mia. Mia, a former assistant to Sean Combs, kept her head down and hesitated to answer questions as she testified, including a claim that he sexually assaulted her multiple times. Jane, the defendant's ex-girlfriend, is looking directly at defense attorney Tenny Garagos with a confidence Mia didn't display. As she is cross-examined about her claims that Combs coerced and manipulated her into performing in freak-offs, Jane is giving clear and precise answers to Garagos' questions. It may help that she met with his defense attorneys multiple times in the months between Combs' arrest and the trial. So yeah, we talked about already how she was saying they role played during those hotel nights, and he liked to, I guess, watch on as she pretended, or they pretended, that she was cheating on Diddy. It says Sean Combs has been nodding along to several parts of Jane's cross-examination as his girlfriend recounts some of the more tender parts of the relationship. She enjoyed giving him foot rubs, she said, and told the defense, Tenny Garagos, that she and missed each other during their breakups. Okay, yep, she already told us about the $20,000 for the clothes. They said over 3.5 years, $150,000. Does that sound right? She said yes. Really, if you break that down, it's not really that much money per year, honestly. I mean, it's a nice little something, but I'm saying to degrade yourself in that way, you need to add like another zero onto there or something. It's not enough. So the defense lawyers are combing through audio messages from when Sean Combs and Jane signed a love contract, an informal agreement that provided Jane with funds in exchange for freak-offs. Jane previously testified that it was a harrowing agreement that became coercive. In quotes, it says, "Got your contract. Find yourself a nice little spot." Combs heard saying one audio adding that he was addicted to Jane. "You are the crack pipe. That's my new name for you, crack pipe. Or should I call you CP? Yay to your contract," she responded in a separate audio message. "I'm dying at your voicemail. Crack pipe is so real for both of us. It's definitely mutual." Combs paid $40,000 to rent a home for Jane, a girlfriend testifying under an alias after they agreed to a love contract. The payment included the first and last month's rent, which was $10,000, and a $20,000 security deposit. They're each other's crack pipe. Okay, so this is like a recap, I think. Yeah, this is like, remember yesterday she testified that he was chasing her through the house, kicking down doors, gave her bruises and a black eye, pinned her to the ground while his other girlfriend insulted her through the phone. And I think it was FaceTime. And afterward, Jane said Combs ordered her to ice her injuries, put on lingerie, and take ecstasy so she could have sex with an adult film star he had called over for the hotel night. Prosecutors called this testimony one of the most clear-cut examples of S trafficking at the trial. So did he really? I have to go over to Twitter about this. Did he really get kicked out of the courtroom? Okay, let's see what y'all talking about. The public know. Okay, we read that one. Public knows her age. Oh, okay. Let me go find. Trav sent me somebody else. Hold on. Oh, this is where you got the. Okay. Oh, hell, you should have told me about this one a while back, child. She's a black lady, too. Okay, so we're on X following Diddy trial updates. And the avatar is a cartoon black lady. Right here. Patience is key, she says. Okay, let's see what she got here. She has a recap. I guess we can go through her recap. Let's see what she's talking about here. She says, court just wrapped in New York City, and today's cross-examination of Jane. Let me follow her, too, by the way. Am I following her? I might already be following her. One of Diddy's exes was explosive, she says. What she revealed about sex, money, drugs, and manipulation was jaw-dropping. She says, I guess that was number one. Number two, Jane says she resents Diddy for leading her into a wild lifestyle she never wanted. She said, my choices were made under emotional pressure. They say she took ecstasy to please him and admits she still loves him. Number three, Jane testified Diddy paid over $150,000, $10K a month for her rent, and even invested $20K into her business. But she claims she earned just 10% of her potential as an influencer during their time together. And number four, Jane said Sean Combs told her early on in their relationship that he was polyamorous. At first, she didn't mind, but later she struggled. She said in quotes, I didn't sign up to date a man in a public relationship. She said, referencing his romance with Young Miami. Wow. Number five, Jane says she agreed to sexual encounters with other men because it was the only way to see Diddy. That was the only option I was given. I wanted to see my lover, she said. She described hotel nights where she got attention from Diddy before and after escorts left. She said that part, yes, I loved, but when she was uncomfortable, it only ended after she tried to participate. Okay. She felt other women got Chanel bags and luxury trips while she got pressure and sex with strangers. When Sean Combs and lawyer reminded her of the gifts he gave her, she fired back. How much does my body cost? Oh, she finally getting some backbone. Jane says she tried to avoid group sex setups, once telling Sean Combs to save it for the grand finale after his album dropped. In reality, she was making excuses to get out of it. Jane now lives in a 5,300 square foot home and profits a bit from her dress line, but says she could have been more successful if she hadn't gone headstrong into the relationship. Court resumes at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, well, that I guess was supposed to be a recap of today's testimony. I know how to access actual transcripts, but I wouldn't have them until the day after. But I'm gonna go through today's and make sure we didn't miss anything good. Like, what happened? Let me see. Jane was subpoenaed to testify before grand jury in 2024. She complied. Now she's on the stand. When asked how she feels about Diddy today, she didn't lash out. She simply said, I pray for his continued healing. I pray for peace for him. What's that? If you see Diddy, they have this drawing of him right here. He got his glasses, his old man glasses right there. And I won't say that. His reading glasses, some water, it looks like, and a picture of a palm tree. It looked like a two-legged palm tree, but definitely remembering better days. And that's something I was going to show. Oh, wait a minute. I found, okay, now her thing done popped up. Let me find out where we left off at. What? Okay. Okay, that's yesterday. This is yesterday's testimony. All right, I was getting excited. I know it's here. I don't want to have to go through all of that again, though. We were almost home. Somebody put up Dateline. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Okay, this is where we left off at, if you don't mind. Let me see how long I've been on here. Oh, just 47 minutes. So we are good. I don't found where we left off. Stroll down from where they started. Okay, I got it. Okay, we back. We back. Wait, let me see what y'all talking about though, real quick. I sent you. Okay, thank you for that. Trav saved the day, child. Drobo not. He said the juror was a black man. Oh, it was a black man? Okay, so it wasn't the woman that these people have been talking about. That's not good. I wonder what the man did. Nia said agreed. 150,000 for 3 years is wild. It is very wild. Very, very wild for all that she said she was doing. Okay, thank you for the bells. Okay, I'm about to get into this woman's testimony. She got it. Okay. She says, so next, so remember when she said to refer to her son as her child instead. And then the note here is asking, is the defense trying to dox her? People pretty much know. I mean, the guy himself has been trolling and posting stuff on his Instagram. Okay, so Garrigo says, I'm showing the jury some of your text and audio messages with Mr. Combs from March 2023, right after the Turks and Caicos trip. You testified earlier that during that trip, he surprised you with an entertainer and a hotel night, which caused an argument, is the question. Yes, it really upset me, and it affected us for a few days. Garrigo says, but in the messages you two exchanged afterward, you both sounded affectionate. Mr. Combs told you he loved you? She says, yes, in a voice note. Garrigo says, he also mentioned something about a contract. What was that? She said he was referring to our love contract. After we agreed on it, he rented me a home for $10,000 a month. And then Garrigo says, and your recorded message back to him, would you say you sounded happy? She says, yes, I told him I had much fun on the trip, that I loved him, and I felt closer to him. You said everything just feels good, and I'm so happy. That's right. I did have fun with him. Uh-oh. The thread done ended. Okay, hold on. Okay. I was expressing love for the time we spent together, except for the part involving the entertainers. When I moved into my rented home in April of 2023, Sean paid $40,000 up front to cover the security deposit and the rent for first month and the last month. Garrigos asked, the landlord already possessed several months of rent payments in case Combs ever decided to stop paying the rent, correct? She said yes. Did Combs indicate that he was also open to paying 3 more months of your rent, even though you were about to break up? She said yes. Did you ever believe Mr. Combs would stop paying your rent? And then she said there were some times where I definitely felt like he would do that. And he used to kind of like use it as a little tool. The rent was always just like a little reminder. Can you confirm the conversation you had with Mr. Combs regarding your financial situation? She said, yes, he asked me, you need 3 months rent? I told him I was struggling a bit. And what happened after that conversation? I confronted him later about some things, and then out of the blue, he sent me $20,000. Was this money solicited by you in any way? No, I didn't ask for it. It was completely unsolicited. And how did you use the $20,000 Mr. Combs sent you? I used it to buy some nice furniture for my place. The court heard you sent Mr. Combs a text after receiving the money. Can you describe that message? I texted him to say thank you and called him baby. I was just grateful for the help. So she's struggling, living in this $10,000 a month apartment, and then she goes and takes the money, $20,000, and goes and buys furniture. Okay. So to clarify, you expressed gratitude and used an affectionate term, correct? She said yes. The court heard a voicemail from Mr. Combs where he referred to you as crack pipe. Can you explain what he meant by that nickname? It was just a playful form. It was just a playful thing from our trip to Turks and Caicos. We had a lot of fun, and he gave me that nickname. Crack pipe. Well, he said he had an addiction to my texts. It was mutual, just fun banter. And how did you respond to this voicemail from Mr. Combs? I texted him back something like, crack pipe is so real for the both of us. It's definitely mutual. I just like everything you said. I'm so thankful. And I had so much fun. Turks was absolutely incredible. I'm so happy. So your response was positive, expressing gratitude and enthusiasm about the trip and the nickname? Yes, exactly. I was just happy and having fun with it. The trip was amazing. And I want him to know I appreciated it. To confirm, this exchange was lighthearted and reflected a mutual enjoyment of the time you spent together. Yeah, it was all in good fun. We were joking around and enjoying the vibe from the trip. You mentioned things changed when Mr. Combs started spending time with young Miami. Oh, they actually mentioned her. Yes, it became difficult for me about 6 months to a year after we started dating. What made it difficult? And I'm wondering now, the defense might have her as a witness because they the ones, I don't remember the prosecution mentioning her name. But anyway, what made it difficult? Their relationship was very public. They posted about each other all over social media. Meanwhile, mine with him was very private. How did that make you feel? It wasn't what I signed up for. I didn't agree to date a man who was in a public relationship with someone else. You testified about a trip to Miami when you were still getting to know Mr. Combs. Can you describe what happened during that trip? Yes, we were in Miami and he bought me a pair of shoes, a Bottega Veneta bag, and bracelet, or Veneta, and a bracelet. During this trip, did Mr. Combs discuss his lifestyle with you? Yes, he explained that he led a polyamorous dating lifestyle. And how did you react to the explanation at that time? At first, I didn't mind. We were just getting to know each other, so it wasn't a big deal to me then. But your feeling changed over time? Yes, as I developed deeper and deeper feelings for him, or just one deeper. As I developed deeper feelings for him, it became difficult. I was feeling my man and wanted him to be mine. You also mentioned feeling there was an imbalance in how Mr. Combs treated you compared to his other girlfriends. Can you elaborate? I just felt the way he treated me wasn't the same as how he treated some of the other women he was seeing. It felt unequal. So to clarify, your concerns about the imbalance arose as your emotional attachment to Mr. Combs grew? Let's talk about your first trip to Turks and Caicos. What did you observe about him? On the flight, I noticed his hands were shaky, his eyes and teeth looked off, and even his coloring seemed unhealthy. I could tell he wasn't taking very good care of himself. Did you suggest anything to him? Yes, that he considered going to a rehab center in Thailand. So you knew early on he was a drug addict. In the beginning, I didn't really know how to label it. I just saw someone who was overdoing the partying. But later on, as our relationship went on, I started noticing a very strong pattern. I still didn't call it an addiction at the time. Now I'd say he was a drug addict. But back then, I just thought he was a really big party guy. Did you know if he was on any prescription medication? Toward the end of our relationship, I found out he was taking antidepressants. And you wanted him off drugs? I wanted him to return to his natural form. So just me interjecting towards the end of their relationship, which sounds to me, it's like it's still going on, but she said she was with him up to the day of his arrest. She was supposed to meet him and she didn't because he was arrested. Antidepressants sounds like it fits, being that he knew he was being closely watched and that his arrest was on coming. And he knew it was looming. That's why he was anticipating turning himself in. But from what I understand, the feds thought he was about to flee. And so they went and got him a little early. Nevertheless, just addressing the fact that he's on antidepressants. And it's interesting because he always tries to come across as this guy, even now in court, who is not worried, who's unbothered, who, he's not sweating it. But clearly, he has been. And we knew that. So she says she just wanted him to return to his natural form. And Jane said he even told me once that he was interested in trying ketamine therapy. For a break and the jurors leave. Janice Combs, Diddy's sister, and two sons are seated in the row behind him. Oh yeah, I forgot his sister. It was mentioned. I heard someone talking about the fact that his sister is also there. It's very interesting. I think her name is Keisha Combs. That she has been so behind the scenes with this guy who's so, just larger than life. The mom too, very big presence here, right? And she not so much. She says also, Attorney Mark Garagos, also in court, seated in one of the defense rows, he watched as his daughter, Tinny Garagos, questioned Jane. Watching his daughter and as a proud papa. Working for Diddy, who has been a Garagos client a very, very, very long time. So they're back from their break, cross-examination to resume shortly. She says Sean Combs has been conferring with his lawyers throughout the break. Now, Garagos asked, Miss Jane, would you agree that you willingly participated in the so-called hotel nights? She said at the time, yes, I felt I had to keep the relationship. But no one forced you to take part. Not physically, no. And you were aware that Mr. Combs practiced a polyamorous lifestyle? She says he told me early on, yes. Yet you chose to stay in the relationship for quite some time. She said my feelings grew deeper, she said. And during this time, he supported you, paid your rent, gave you gifts, covered expenses? Yes, he did all of that. Would you say he was generous at times? Kind and generous at times. She said, yes, he could be very generous. Note, she didn't say kind. So your relationship, though complicated, had moments of affection and mutual agreement? It did, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt or feel controlling. During the hotel nights, did you and Mr. Combs spend time alone together? Yes, we usually have about 30 minutes to an hour alone before the entertainer came, and sometime afterward too. How did you feel about that alone time? I actually enjoyed it, especially when we made love. That part felt intimate. So he gave you the attention that you were seeking. Yes, he gave me the affection I wanted during those nights. Was it typical of him? No, he wasn't generally that affectionate, but on those nights, he was the most affectionate. Were the red lights and baby oil only used during the hotel nights? No, they weren't exclusive to those nights. Where else were they used? He used them during our other sexual encounters, even in his private residence. Were you aware that the hotel nights were being filmed? Yes, I was okay with it. And Mr. Combs told you the videos were just for the two of you? Yes, that's what he said. Well, there's no yes. That's what he said, she said. You put on a good show for him in these videos because you knew he would watch them again? Yes. Isn't it true that you enjoyed watching the hotel night videos with Mr. Combs? No, I did not like that part. Did it? It was a part of the relationship, something I tolerated, made me. Tinny Garagos tells the judge she may pause the Jane's Cross at 3 p.m. today to give the jurors a break. She'll pick up again on Wednesday and continue through Thursday. Oh, good Lord. The main goal here is to complete Jane's Cross by the end of Thursday, is what I believe she said. Garagos says, let's talk about the hotel nights. What was your understanding of why Mr. Combs wanted them? They were driven by his desires. I labeled it as cuckold, a man being turned on by watching his woman have sex with another man. That term was spot on. He's a cuck. Garagos says, and why did you participate? She said, out of love. I wanted to please him. Did Mr. Combs ever explain his motivations? He liked to call it voyeurism. I use the word cuck for myself. That's such disrespect. I also think there may have been some bi curiosity involved. Cucks can be curious, but too afraid to act on it. Not according to those civil suits, and that's just me interjecting. Garagos asked, did he ever stop a hotel night because you wanted to? She said, yes, there were a few times he ended early when I spoke up and said I wanted to stop. And if you weren't comfortable with one of the men, he dismissed them, correct? Rarely, only after I had already tried to interact with them sexually for some time. But he was responsive when you were uncomfortable? No, not really, not readily. I had to go through the motions first before he considered letting them go. Let's talk about the 2 times you said you cried after a hotel night. Do you remember that, the first? Yes, it was early in the relationship. I cried because Sean was about to leave right after the hotel night. And when you asked him to stay with you, he changed his plans. He stayed to comfort me. The second time you were in the shower together, ? Yes, somewhere in the middle of our relationship, I started crying in the shower after another hotel night. And was Mr. Combs high on ecstasy at that time? He said he was. He told me, you're going to ruin my high. And he said he was too high to see me cry. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but oh my gosh. All right. All I could hear was Kendrick saying, bitch, don't kill my vibe, but it's don't kill my high, is what he was saying. Okay. Let's go back to your earlier testimony, the hotel nights, or as you called them, freak offs, as you also called them, freak offs. She said, yes. You described these nights as being driven by Mr. Combs, correct? That's right. But there were moments, weren't there, when you had some say in how things played out? There were a few times I voiced what I wanted or didn't want. Was it entirely without your input? No, not always. Sometimes I was able to speak up, though I didn't always change the outcome. Let's go over the messages between you and Christina Coram. These were sent around the times he allegedly asked you to bring drugs to Miami, correct? She said yes. You testified earlier that you had a phone conversation with Ms. Coram during which she told you it was fine to bring the drugs and even instructed you to put them in your checked luggage. She said yes. But the messages read here today, they don't mention her saying anything like that, do they? No, they don't. But we spoke on the phone. She said it verbally. Then when Ms. Coram traveled Mr. Combs, do you know if she flew on his private jet? I assume she did, but I can't say for sure. Would you describe your relationship with her as close? Not at all. We weren't close. She didn't like me. And how did that affect your relationship with Mr. Combs? It made things hard. she was always with him. I believe she had strong opinions about me, and those opinions influenced how Sean treated me. Judge calls for a break for lunch at this point. Judge Aaron Subramanian has returned after the lunch break. Okay, let me come see if there's any comments. No comments. Okay. So we're back from lunch. Before they went on the break, Jane said Diddy used to call their freak-offs the trifecta. He was Jordan, she was Kobe, and Paul was the male escort, was Shaq. Paul, the male escort, was Shaq. Kobe, Jordan, and Shaq, child. Garrigo said, Jane, I'd like to revisit your message from around Halloween 2021. Do you recall texting Mr. Combs that you wanted to see him? Yes, I do. He had a rough day and wanted you to lead tonight. She said, that's correct. You responded by suggesting the two of you freshen up, have a drink, and see where the night goes. She said, yes. Did Mr. Combs mention he didn't like being around people? He did. And the two of you ended up having what you referred to as hotel night after those texts? We did. Now, the next day, you texted someone named Sly asking for explicit videos. Is that correct? Yes, I was with him at the time. He asked me to reach out to Sly for those videos. Then a few days later, you texted Sly again, this time saying, I'll organize, and asked about a visit. She said, yes, we were still together trying to plan when we might see Sly. You mentioned earlier that you were pursuing a modeling career. Can you tell the court a bit about that? I did some modeling, yes, mostly commercial work. Thank you. Now I want to turn your attention to a series of text messages. These were exchanges between you, Mr. Combs, and an adult film performer named Cabral. Do you remember those? Yes. These messages included sexually explicit content, correct? She said they did. And I think Cabral is it Sly or the other one with a T? I can't think of his name right now. Not Tyson. Okay, it'll come up if it comes up. There were exchanges between you, Combs, and adult performer. Okay, she said yes. Jane, let's turn to the text messages between you and Mr. Combs from November of 2021. Do you recall planning to see each other? Yes, I remember. In those texts, Mr. Combs asked you to be explicit, in quotes, correct? She said, that's right. And in response, you sent him sexually graphic messages involving yourself, Mr. Combs, and someone you referred to as an entertainer? Yes, because that's what he wanted. That's how he liked to communicate. You both exchanged a series of these fantasy messages. Eventually, Mr. Combs asked what you wanted to do. How did you respond? I said I wanted to spend. After that, he asked if you wanted him to come with an entertainer. She said yes. Did you agree to that? I did, because it was the only option I was given, and see the one I loved. Jane, I'm now going to read aloud a message you sent to Mr. Combs, and she's reading the message. I want to sit on your face. Do you recall sending that? You know I'm holding a laugh. I can't. She said, yes, I do. Garrigo says, can you explain the context of that message? It was a part of a sexual exchange. That kind of talk was expected. Garrigo says, in the messages, you also use the water drops emoji several times. What does this emoji suggest? It was meant to suggest sexual arousal or desire. It was a part of the way we communicated. Jane, in several of these messages, you describe in detail what you would do to the entertainers Mr. Combs hired for these so-called freak offs. Do you recall those texts? Yes, I do. Were those your actual desires at the time? No, those were things that wouldn't have occurred to me on my own. Then why did you send them? Because that's what he wanted to hear. I was giving him options, trying to please him. It wasn't about what I wanted. It was about keeping his interest. Jane, let's talk about and see. Let me go back because that's actually very important. It's about keeping his interest. She knows she's competing with other women. Some of these women publicly when she's hidden in a hotel room. So she has to do what she can do to keep his interest, is what she's saying. Garagos asks, Jane, let's talk about one of the more graphic messages you sent to Mr. Combs. You initiated the exchange, correct? It says Jane paused visibly uneasy. She said, I just want to say this actually am. Garagos says, go on. Jane says, I felt like I had to speak that way. I needed to keep him happy. I am in 2021 really madly in love and wanting to please him and appease him. So this message, it wasn't about your own desires. She says, no, I was being agreeable. That's what he liked. So I adapted. Garagos says, Jane, you offered to buy black matrix underwear for Mr. Combs, correct? She said, to please him. I knew it was something he'd like. So you knew what kind of language, what kind of gesture turned him on. She says, yes, but it wasn't real intimacy. It was just what he expected from me. Did you often offer you one-on-one time? Did he often offer you one-on-one time? She says, rarely. Most of the time, the option he gave me was him and Paul. And when you agreed to that, I said yes because I wanted to see him. Meeting with an escort was my only option. I wanted to see my lover. In some of the later messages, you brought up the idea of attending sex parties, correct? Yes. Why did you initiate that? Sean had been telling me about them. He said we should go to one. So was this your idea or his? It was his. I was just giving him options, saying what I thought he wanted to hear. Did you and Mr. Combs discuss hiring escorts like Don and Cabral? Yes, he often brought them up. In fact, you reminded him that he wanted to save Cabral for a grand finale. You called it a showstopper, big room, game over situation, didn't you? Yes, I was trying to delay it, just making excuses to get out of something he was pushing me to do. Let's talk about the voice messages from November 22nd, 2021. Combs told you, the last vision we had included Don and Sly, the entertainers you use frequently. That's what I said. That's what he said. You replied suggesting he wait until after the album dropped. Why? Like I said, I didn't want to go through with it. I thought if I played along and pushed it down the line, he'd drop it. But later you saw on social media that he was with another woman. Yes, and he told me he wanted to see me, but there she was posting with him. And in your text, you expressed frustration. Yeah, you said he pressured you for hotel vibes with Dawn and Sly, but spent that time with someone else, someone he bought a Chanel bag for. Exactly, gave into things I didn't want with strangers and still didn't get the same care or. Jane, Mr. gave you a Van Cleef necklace and Bottega Veneta bag, didn't he? Yes, he did. How much do Bottega bags usually cost? Jane pauses, then sharply, how much does my body cost? Miss Jane, please answer the question as asked. Again, how much does a Bottega bag run? Around $1,500 to $5,000 to bag. And do you know how much a Chanel bag costs? No. And then quietly she says, I'd like a break. The judge says, we'll take a brief recess. The tweeter says, the person behind P. Diddy trial updates, thank you to her. She says that was quite an exchange between Garagos and Jane. Garagos insinuated that Jane was consensually having sex with other men and gladly accepting designer bags. Now they're back from break. Garagos says, Miss Jane, earlier you testified that your current home is quite different from where you used to live. Can you remind the court how large is your current residence? It's about 5,300 square feet, much larger than my old apartment, which was 1,400. And one of your businesses that was started with a $20,000 investment for Mr. Combs, correct? Yes, that's correct. And he never asked for a share of the profits? No, he didn't. Yet earlier you said you weren't able to do anything professionally during your relationship with Mr. Combs. Is that still your position? yes, I had not dove headstrong into that relationship, I probably would have been a bit more successful than in that time frame. So the relationship held you back? In many ways, yes. Had I not dove headstrong in the relationship, I probably would have been a bit more successful in that time frame, but that's neither here nor there. Court has adjourned for the day. Still be on tomorrow. Judge Subramanian says court will resume at 1 p.m. Eastern. Recap is coming. So the court is going to be a late. I think I remember him mentioning a couple of late start days or days that they weren't going to have full days of court. So what did y'all think of today's testimony? She gave a lot more details about her part, her side. It's like, of course, they want her to be a consensual adult in this situation. They don't want Diddy to come off like a pimp or somebody who forced this woman to do these hotel nights or freak offs, right? So they're getting her to say as much as they can that she loved this and she liked that and she enjoyed this and had a great time. They're going to bring out all of her consensual, experiences with him, and that where she enjoyed herself. Give the jury something to weigh against all the horrible things that she described with the prosecution. Now, don't forget, so they're going to finish their cross, and then the prosecution is going to be able to come and redirect, and then they're going to also, I think they get a couple times to go up and back. So, yeah, Faye says she gave a lot of details. What you laughing at, Trav? That is really weird. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now, Trav also sent me a couple things from the other day's testimony. I believe one of them is one of these voicemail notes. Now, Trav, I don't know if this voicemail Thursday. Okay, so Trav, I don't know if this audio that was a leak, is this authentic or is this AI? Well, I'm about to play it real quick. Let me come over to X. Ooh-wee. I can't believe just east of me, this protesting and all this stuff is going on about deportation. Protesters surrounded the federal detention center in Los Angeles, California. Oh, this was a couple days ago, but it's still going on. Okay, where is that audio? Wait, hold on. Okay, here we go. So these are, remember when the girl Brianna Urbana, and she talked about being dangled over the balcony. These are the pictures of the bruising that was shown in the court. And she's the one where they're questioning her credibility and trying to get a mistrial behind her testimony, which up against Cassie's somebody lying is what they're saying, and that the prosecution knew that. So I guess these are all these bandages. I don't know what that is. She did say she had a back injury and looks like an elbow with the bruising. It looks horrible, whatever that is. And then here's that audio.
Really disappear on you. Hey, I really don't know what's going on with you, but I just want to just give you a heads up that I'm about to really disappear on you. You feel me? I'm not going to be playing these games with you at all, at all. So I don't know. You think you silent treating me, and you think I'm gonna be nah. you'll have a rude awakening. You'll just have silence. And ain't nobody threatening you. And I ain't trying to go back and forth with no woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, I ain't got no time for no motherfucking games. Where my life is at right now, I don't have no time for no games, baby girl. Me and you could be mad. I could have a spat. We could have whatever. Then after that, you better get on your job. That's really that's all it is. Cause you got me on my job. Nah, it ain't never gonna work like that over here. You know what I'm saying? I was trying not to leave this message, but you have left me no choice. So either you go in the direction of like moving on and shit like that, or you like just like have me just keep moving. Ain't no threat. I'm just being clear. I can't do the shit with you every time you get upset.
I definitely remember that testimony, and it definitely does sound like him. But with AI in play now, I don't know what to believe. But this is what supposedly the audio leak from the evidence. Child, what is this? Transcripts from the warning that he gave Sean Combs. Y'all don't forget he warned Diddy about his expressions to the jury and having him sit to the side by himself somewhere if he kept it up. I'm wondering, is he on better behavior today? Let me see what else I wanted to show. I can't believe it's just Tuesday. It seems like it's Thursday. It should be Thursday. We saw the family walk in. Woohoo. Let's see what she says if she knows about this juror. Hold on. Cross-exam, cross-exam, cross-exam.
Want to keep this juror for whatever reason. So I assume that this juror is showing that they are more on Diddy's side than what they are the prosecution. But it is important to note that there is alternative jurors that will take this juror's spot if in fact they do stay off the jury. Based off different things that I've been hearing coming out of the courtroom, I think that this is what we are seeing happening, especially after Diddy has just gotten in trouble for nodding at the jury vigorously. So I'm sure that this judge is wanting to make sure that this jury is going to come to an unanimous and unbiased decision. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this.
Well, she didn't tell us nothing new. I already pretty much said that. I want to acknowledge a very important post today from my good friend Offbeat Patterson Esquire, aka the Black Letter Law. I think it's just important to highlight these things that she posts from her blackwomendaily.co. Now, today's post on Instagram, you guys got to follow her, blackwomendaily.co. We're celebrating today the birth of Meta Vox Warwick Fuller, an artist, sculptor, educator, and poet who became one of the foremost chroniclers of the Black experience in the United States. Fuller was born on June 9, 1877 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Her parents were considered influential people within Philadelphia's Black society. Her father owned several barbershops, and her mother owned a beauty salon. Her mother, a beautician, a wig maker, and named her after Meta Vox, the daughter of Senator Richard Vox, one of her clients. In 1893, Fuller's high school art project was included in the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. This work earned her a 4-year scholarship to the Pennsylvania Museum and School of Industrial Art in 1894. In 1898, she received her diploma and teacher certificate. After graduation, she moved to Paris, where she studied painting under Raphael Collin and Miss M. Carles, and sculpture and anatomy at the Académie Colarossi. She also studied drawing at the École, I'm butchering these names, but des Beaux-Arts with Inge Albert. While in Paris, Fuller was denied housing at the American Women's Club. She was told some girls are here from the South would object to her presence. Despite this, she was introduced to Auguste Rodin, who reviewed a plaster cast of her sculpture, Man Eating His Own Heart. He proclaimed, "Mademoiselle, you are a sculptor. You have the sense of form in your fingers." Rodin's praise opened doors in Paris's art world, but upon returning to the U.S., she was shut out of Philadelphia art world and faced a lack of professional opportunities. In 1907, however, she became the first Black woman artist to receive a federal commission, creating dioramas for Jamestown, her centennial exposition celebrating Black American progress since enslavement. She later married Dr. Solomon Carter Fuller, one of the first Black psychiatrists in the United States. They had 3 sons. As Fuller's personal life changed, her artistic focus gradually shifted from emotionally intense depictions of Black American life to more mainstream public commissions, including biblical scenes. Amazing woman, trailblazer, comes from amazing stock, okay? And gave also children who probably have also done great things. But I love these highlights of these women. And I encourage you to support this channel. Please and thank you. All right, y'all. That's all we got for today. Come back tomorrow. I'm going to have it more together tomorrow, I promise, because now I know to follow this Black lady who is just being very anonymous and saying P. Diddy trial updates. Very simple. And she does a great job. Her penmanship is amazing, as is her grammar, and I love it. So shout out to her. Shout out to you, Trav, for helping me out with that today. And what's up, Karen Johnson? Karen said, I believe most of his victims would have been doing all this without constant pressure from Diddy. Wait, so you are saying you think regardless if he pressured them or not, they still would have done these things? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure if I understand, but I mean, if that's what you're saying, I do understand for sure. I believe most of his victims would have been doing, or do you mean would not have been doing all of this without the constant pressure? Oh, you're saying no. Okay, so you're saying you don't think they would have done it without the pressure from Diddy, so that you believe he pressured them into doing these things. I think that's where you're at with this. I think I know, if this is the Karen Johnson that I know, then I know where you're at. I know what's going on. Okay, that's what I thought, child. I'm like, well, this is a different Karen Johnson, child, if she's saying this, but ding, ding. Okay, we're on the same page, because you know how I feel. All right, y'all, listen, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow on Hump Day. Oh, and I did have a word of the day to go out on. If you just give me this one more second, you know what I'm saying? Because like, I'm not even here for a long time, but just a memorable time. Okay. And it's really just some wisdom from Pop. Imagine all the money Diddy was tricking off. Oh man, you telling me I didn't take the picture down for that? I didn't switch the page over. Well, y'all know that was Pac, right? Y'all know that was Pac spouting off on nothing but truth. And imagine Diddy tricking off all that money on these women and these freak offs and whatnot when there's so many hungry children, so many hurting people, poor, hungry, no shelter, could use any help. And yet it's all about the freak offs, honey. Paying for the damages to the rooms with the candles and the baby oil did. Imagine all that money spent on baby oil and supplies for those freak offs that could have gone to families in need. I'm just saying, there's a lot of different areas where people could help. And it could also be prison reform, could be a lot of different areas of help that could be used. Instead, it's all about self-pleasure, child. It's all about the self. You're welcome for the updates, Karen. All right, I'm out. Peace and love. Bye.